My name is Max, and today we're going to be fitting this set of Fusion Signature 3 Classic White 7.7 speakers on my boat Pippa, which is a Sunseeker Tomahawk 37. So I'm going to be installing these speakers just here below the bench, just so when you're driving you've got music facing forward, just to make it a bit more of an all-round sound. It's really important just to measure everything before you cut big holes in your boat. So under this bench here we've got the fuel tank, so I just need to double check the clearance on the back of the speaker just to make sure it's going to fit in place, just to be safe. So when you're drilling through a bulkhead, it's always worth just checking on the other side, just to make sure there's nothing you're going to drill through. Obviously we're quite close to the fuel tank here, so we're just going to make sure we're conscious of that, make sure there's no cables or hoses just behind it, just to be safe. So we're just going to check the depth, which is about 4 inches, just to be safe, and then just check 4 inches. Yeah, that gives us plenty of room between the bulkhead and the fuel tank itself. So now I'm just going to cut the template out, try and keep it as perfectly round as possible. And get some tape just to put it in place. This is what's left of the template after I cut it. This obviously comes in a box and makes install a lot easier. So there's obviously loads of ways to cut speakers. I'd normally recommend using a hole saw, but we don't have a hole saw, and 7.7 is a little bit big to use a hole saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill holes all around the template and then use jigsaw just to go in between them, just to make a nice circle. And then I'll also then just use the rotary sanding disc, which is just here, just to make sure it's nice and round when it's all done. So now I've drilled all the holes around it, so I'm just going to use the jigsaw to very slowly go round. The trick is just go hole to hole. If you're going off centre a bit, just stop, come out of it, reassess and then go again. You've always can sand it down at the end. So yeah, we're just going to do that now. So I've now cut the hole, gone around it just with the little rotary sanding disc. So now we're just going to pop it in and make sure it fits. Yep, that's nice and fitted. So now we'll just move on to the other side. So we've installed one speaker, so now we're just going to install a second speaker by cutting the hole, drilling and then cutting in between the holes like we did for the last one. Now the most crucial part is just to make sure that they're all in the exact same position, because obviously you don't want them mismatched because they'll look a bit funny. So we're just going to do loads of measurements now, make sure they're perfect, and then we'll draw around the template like we did before and cut again. Yeah, so it doesn't quite fit, so that's when we get our rotary bit onto the drill. Grab that. Quite important to have a hoover on when you do this, because the dust is quite fine and can go everywhere and can breathe it in. So. And just like that, we're in. So in the box there's the coax cable, the speaker cable. So what we're going to do now is, obviously my Apollo amp's just down here, so I'm going to route the cable. Each boat's completely different for routing the cable depending on where your amp is, whether you've even got an amp, and the route. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to route the cables through to the speakers for both, and then we'll connect them into the amplifier. So what I'm going to do is there's a hole back here. I'm going to push them through and then try and catch them. Oh, we're quite lucky, they were really easy to find. So we're just going to run those over to that speaker there. Then we'll do the same again for the other one. So on the back of the speaker there's a positive and a negative. It's very important, it doesn't matter which one you use, but it's important to decide which one's which. I'm going to use the fully black one for the negative, just because then it's similar to the rest of the electrics on the boat, negative being black. And then I'm going to use the white one for the positive. That's that, and then we'll just do the same again. So once again, the black one's going to be the negative. There we are. So I've just disconnected the cable out of the Apollo amp. This is where all the cables go in and out. So I'm just wiring in the speakers into that. Sometimes if you've got more than one cable going into a port, it can be a little bit difficult to do. So it's always worth just giving it a tug once you think it's done, just to double check that it is done. Yeah, and then you know they're all nice and tight, and they're not going to go anywhere when you're out on the water. There we are, then we just plug it back into the bottom of the amp. Now just before drilling the fitting holes and screwing them in, we just want to double check they're all working. So if you connect to the speakers like you normally would. So we've just connected all the cables up into the amplifier. So now's the moment of truth, just to make sure they're all working before we finally proper screw them in and mount them. And they're working. So in the box of these little seals, it's just important just to pop those on, just because obviously you've drilled a big hole in the boat, so water could get in, so you just put those seals in. That keeps all the water and the dust from going in. So we'll pop that there. We get a little drill bit just to mark out where the holes for the screws, because it's best to put pilot holes in fiberglass just to stop any cracking. We'll make sure it's nice and flush, and then there we are. So we've got the few pilot holes drilled. We'll just drill those out and then go through and do the rest of the holes. Trick is with fiberglass, just go nice and slowly, just to stop any damage. So in the box came a few stainless steel screws. We'll just pop those all the way around it, just to make sure no water ingress can happen.